It was 1:30 in the morning, and I was bored. That's how I started the adventure of Johnson the Rogue. Travel to the king's castle to the east to prove yourself a worthy saviour of the land. That was all Johnson had to go by in his new quest, so he decided he needed to look for clues, starting with heading to the nearest town for supplies. Once he made it there, he collected the supplies waiting for him from the guild, and purchased a small dagger, a tool that would serve him better than his broken sword. Imagine Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson with a dagger. "Travel safe," said the merchant, but Johnson ignored him, and within moments he was out in the wild slaying monsters. He encountered a wounded adventurer and helped him. In return, the adventurer told him of a nearby treasure. On his way to the treasure, he fought a curse-slinging cultist, stabbed him to death with relative ease due to his training from Jumanji 2. The treasure chest was guarded by a fungus creature, but Johnson decapitated it and its child, and went to receive his righteous reward. But the chest grew arms, legs, and a mighty tongue and began swinging wildly at our hero. Johnson kept his cool, because of all his training from Jumanji 2, and defeated the beast, searching around in its head to find precious loot. He stopped in town, and a traveller told him of an ancient dungeon north of town that's full of loot and monsters. That sounded perfect to Johnson, so he purchased a magic spear with the money he had got from stabbing monsters, and headed to the dungeon with bright eyes. On the way, he found a weird scroll inside of an abandoned house, but reading was for nerds, so he didn't pay it any mind. He did find some cool gear inside the library, though. He made it into the dungeon and entered its first dark chamber. Instantly across the room, he saw a sparkling golden treasure chest that he made a dash for. He had seemingly hit the jackpot. It was full of enchanted gear. He could see the boss lurking further down the dark chamber, but he wanted to explore more before fighting it, as he didn't want to get his head caved in just yet. The dungeon was filled with ghosts, fire-slinging mages, traps, and all sorts of dangerous creatures. But they were all experience points to Johnson, as he slew them all with ease, picking up sweet, sweet loot along the way. As he made his way towards the boss, he saw a small box sitting in a corner. He ran over to it and kicked it open in a cool way like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would, and then he saw it. A small dagger, glowing with golden magic. Sharp blood. He didn't care much for stats, but it sure did destroy the boss. He left the dungeon, and saw a strange pedestal in the distance. And then he noticed he'd received an quest. 3 beacons that must be lit before the king's gate will open, it read, and that a map was waiting for him in a nearby town to help him track them down. Just as he had suspected, the pedestal he saw was one of these beacons. Standing before him and the beacon was a mountain trail that he had heard was full of demons. He wasn't wrong, but him and Sharpblood slashed their way through the cave with ease. He even stopped to buy an enchanted rune off one of the demons, and soon the only thing standing before him in the exit was a high cultist, which he also stabbed. After doing some reading, he was out of the cave and back into the pixelated sunshine, with the beacon in arm's reach. Johnson stood before one of the 3 guardian beacons. The ground was littered with corpses of outsiders. And just like that, he had won. And he had a new glowing helmet to boot. The beacon glowed brightly. But Johnson knew that that was only the start of his adventure. He knew that he still had 2 more beacons to light, and that it was going to be a great challenge to overcome. Boy, he didn't know the half of it. Bye.